Hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. So just going to have a little look at something that involves kind of loans involved and simple interest. So why don't we just go on a minute? So we're talking about simple interest here. And there's kind of two types of interest used by certain institutions. So these are banks, building societies, credit unions, and retailers. That means like shops, whatever you take, you can afford to pay it at a time. And they just say, look, I'll do you a 12-month deal or whatever. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So, like Amazon, things like that. So there's different types of interest. I'm just going to mention two of them here. Simple interest and compound interest. So you might have dealt with compound interest before, where they just give you a formula and it does everything for you. But simple interest is actually more complicated. So, but here, we're just going to use a simple interest. Let's lead by example. So here, interest is actually applied at different periods of time. It depends how often you can afford to pay it back. So you could maybe afford to pay it back every day, week, whatever, month or year. And actually with some banks, they do it by the hour or the minute. And that actually makes it cheaper for the customer. But I don't think we're in that league. So for this unit here, we're just going to deal with a yearly interest rates, or sometimes it's known as per annum, annual. What's your annual income? That's where per annum comes from. So let's go for an example here. Might as well. This is just so you can get the gist of it here. Simple interest calculated at £40 per annum. So that's per year. So interest you pay back is just that amount, okay? But multiplied by the number of years, because that's the simple interest per year. For whatever the loan period is. Could be 5 years, could be 10 years, could be 20 years. So it'd be only that £40 multiplied by the number of years. So let's take this example of £40 per annum, and just to make sure everybody is quite clear, duration is the time, interest owed. So let's 1 year, that should be easy. 1 times 40 is 40. Let's go for 2 years. 2 times 40, hopefully that's 80. I don't think we'll go for 3. We'll go for another number. 8 years. So 8 times 40, what's that going to be, folks? Oh, get your calculators out, get your brain in gear. I think that's 320. It is indeed. So hopefully you get the gist of this simple interest, right? So there's no compound interest here. Let's go for an example here. So someone's selling you something at a simple interest rate of 7% per annum. A retailer, that's somebody. So here we need more. So we'll get 2 bits of information. Initially, we had the 7% per annum, and now we've got a new piece of information. The loan, okay, the premium, the principal, whatever they call that, £2,400. So everything depends on these two quantities, the loan amount and the interest amount. So next thing is the time. It doesn't matter if it's a 3-piece suite. Okay. If you don't know what a 3-piece suite is, you can make up your own version of that. Looks like a corner unit to me, actually. So we're going to look at it over 1 year, and we always go for 1 year initially to make it nice and simple. Then we'll go for a secondary question for 4 years, for instance. So we'll get 2 parts to this one here. So we've got the percentage per annum, we've got the initial loan amount, and then we've got the time periods for parts 1 and 2. So that's why I'm highlighting the percentage amount and the loan amount, because they are not going to change throughout this question. If it's 1 year, 4 years, 10 years, however many years. And even 3.5 years, we could still deal with that. And we'll deal with that at another point. So let's go for, I'm calling this simple interest for every year PA per annum. So 7% of the initial loan amount, 7% is 7 divided by 100, which you might want to write as a fraction, but you know a fraction means 7 divided by 100 times the loan amount, 2,400. Let's see what your calculator says for that. I like to take the 7 over 100, I like to make that into a divide, because a fraction is divide, and let's see what it gives you. £168. You get your calculator and check that, see if it's okay. Right. So that was for simple interest for 1 year. That's all I was interested in there. So whether it's a 5, 10, 15 years, that is a base interest I would be using from now on. Right, for 4 years, it's just going to be 4 times that. And 4 times that is 672. Check your calculator, and it is. So all I was working out in parts 1 and 2 is actually the simple interest I would be paying, or you would be paying back. So however many years in relation to the base amount. So that's all I was working out there. And that'll lead us into secondary parts. So let's move forward. And like it says, if we paid these repayments under the conditions, then now we're interested in monthly repayments, because who can pay back every year? It's more common monthly repayments, because more often than not, people get paid by the month. And if they don't, then banks just say to them, well, you have to pay by the month, or credit unions will say to them, pay by the month. Or these financial institutions will say, pay by the month. So, we're going to just use the two previous yearly things, 1 year and 4 years. But now, remember, we're interested in monthly repayments. So, think to yourself, how many months are in 1 year? How many months are just 4 years? How many months are in 37 years? Or whatever it is. So I'm going to lay it out here. So the 1 year option, that's I like to give myself titles here. So I'm going to give the 1 year option. So the loan, I think that was 2,400. Yep. And what was the interest? What was that? We had already calculated that. That was 168. Because this is a 1 year option. We've got the loan, we've got the interest. So together, the total amount owed, just bring them together in 2568, and that's my calculator says. Does your calculator say that? Hopefully it does. Okay, but we're dealing with monthly options here. So we're going to take that 2568, and for this one, we're going for 12 monthly payments. And do you know the reason why? It's 12 monthly because it's a 1 year, and we'll get 12 months in 1 year. Please don't think I'm talking to you like you're a child, because there wasn't always 12 months in 1 year. Things are all invented. Numbers are invented. We talk about electrons here invented. We just know we just go for this 12 monthly calendar system. And you're going to tell me the 12 month is December, but believe it or not, December, think of decimal, that's like the 10th base unit. And the month of December used to be the 10th month. Like Octo is 8. October used to be the 8th month. Right, let's move on. And you can look that up. So here we go for the 12-month repayment. So we're going to have to use this now because that's what's owed over the 12 months. So what we're going to do, yep, hopefully take that amount, divide it by 12, and should get a nice answer. So that should be the monthly repayment over for this loan option. That looks good to me. You okay with that? And just remember, because this is a video option you've got, you can just stop, rewind, and then do whatever. Let's move on. So we had the 4-year option, right? So the thing is, for this question, the loan amount is still the same. Okay, but the interest, it's over 4 years. But we'd actually calculated the initial interest for 1 year. But because we've got 4 years, it's going to be 4 times that amount. So whatever 168 times 4 is, and we worked it out in part 1 actually. So we get 672 there. So the amount owed here, what do you think it's going to be? What's the connection here, folks? Yep, just add those two together. Add them together, you get a big number. So for this 4-year option, that's what you owe in entirety. But you're paying it monthly. So what we need to do here with the 3072 is we need to go for the number of months. But we don't have months. We've got 4 years. So how many months are in 4 years? So your 12 times table would come in here. 4 times 12, 48 months hopefully. Right? So that's good that you know that. So per month, hopefully you know you're just going to take this amount and divide it by the number of months. Yep, and get that figure there. £64. Oh, that's far less than the previous one. But the thing is, that's why you spread payments over a greater time period, so you can afford it. Because maybe you couldn't afford £200 odds, and maybe you could afford £60 odds. That's the way of the world. Especially if you're buying that couch, which wasn't very fetching to the eye. Okay, I think that's us. Aye, that's £64. Okay. Oh, this has been typed up, so I must have stolen it from somewhere. Doesn't matter, you can still read it. It's some family are buying a car. That doesn't really matter, but the thing is, it matters. Is this amount here £3,000? Okay, right. This is important here. That of 3 different repayment options. Simple interest, that's important. And the 12.7% per year is important. Right, so we're going to have 3 scenarios here based upon the £3,000. Right, okay. So let's go and see what it is. So here we are. 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. That's really like 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. So, and remember, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, that relates to the per annum, okay? That's really like 1, 2, and 3. So remember, that's per annum. And then, once we use that, we'll probably divide by 12, 24, and 36. But this will stay constant. That's 12.7%. This initial borrowing, 3,000, will stay constant. Okay, let's move on. So the thing you want to sort out right away, let's just get simple interest per annum on that amount. So 12.7% of 3,000 is, well, that's 12.7 over 100 times 3,000. Yep, whatever that is. Oh. Okay, right, must have changed the frame size. Okay, that's fine. That was fine. 381. That sounds about right. So that's going to be the 381. That's what we're going to be using for every single year now. Whether it's 10 years, whether it's 20 years, we just multiply that out, multiply that and add it on to the initial loan. And then we'll divide it by how many months. So we had 3 options here. So the first option, the 12 months and 1 year, I have to put them side by side. So the amount owed So the amount owed was the initial loan plus interest, 3,000. That was the loan. The interest for the first year, when just worked out, is 381. Add them together, 3,381. So that's a total amount owed, but it's a 12-month option. Okay. So we're going to go for the monthly payment. Because it's 12 months, just take that and divide it by 12 and get that answer there, £281.75. These won't always come out nice, and don't get upset about rounding as long as it's to 2 decimal places, and it depends who you're banking with or taking credit from. They'll sort it out with you. Okay, it's the method we're interested in here. So that was option 1. Option 2. Was option 2 the 2 years? 2 years or 24 months. They initially stated it as 24 months. So let's go for 2 years. Amount owed initially, it was still a name loan which was borrowed and a new interest, but the loan was a 3,000. That's the same, but interest there, because it's over 2 years, it's 2 times the annual, per annual interest. So we need to double it up here. Double that up, add them together. Right, so that's actually the amount we owe here. Okay, so we're now going to be paying that back in monthly payments, but it's over 24 months. So we need to take that amount and divide that by 24, because it's 24 months. And 156.75, does that come out exact? I think it does in my head. So that looks okay. So we're just getting into a little rhythm here. Let's go for the third one. Option 3. 36 months, because that's 3 years. Both of them are going to come into this. Amount owed, loan and interest again. So the loan stays the same, 3,000, but interest is 3 times the initial per annum amount. So let's multiply that. 3 times 381, and let's add 1143 onto 3,000. Get that number there. Okay, so that's the amount that is owed now, but we're paying that back now over 36 months. So for the monthly repayment, what we need to do is take that amount and divide it by 36. And they're saying it's 115.08. But it may have been that, but they might have rounded it. Okay, so don't get all worked out about that. I think they'll go for that, or see with banks or financial institutions, they might add a penny onto that and make it 115.09. But the thing is, you can't really argue with them. Okay, so if you're kind of doing this thing during assessment, don't get all hot and bothered. You just go for your 2 decimal places. It'll be fine. Let's chop that off. So here, what I'm doing here is I want to get into a little more detail, because sometimes sometimes you don't pay things on an annual basis. Sometimes you do pay things monthly or yearly. And that does happen, or daily.